are back in the studio, and I am so very pleased this morning to have Lois Kraft, the manager of Pastoral Ministries, with us to give us all sorts of good information about what she's been up to, or the whole team has been up to.
Absolutely. Thank you, Frances. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to be here and to be able to update the community on all of the things, the wonderful and the special things going on in Pastoral Ministries. We've had lots that's happened since the last time I was on Village in Motion. One of the things that happened, and I have a list here, but one of the things that happened, we had an event called Garden Ridge Goes to the Chapel.
Ah.
And it was a first where we had 34 residents from assisted living from Garden Ridge who came over to the chapel to have a worship service. It was, for all of us who were there, it was just a beautiful event. And this event could not have happened had it not been for Chaplain Annie Blackwell, who worked with several departments, the support of Garden Ridge administration, programming, transportation, nurses, all working with Pastoral Ministries to make this event happen. And so to see the residents' faces during the day of that event was absolutely priceless. I mean, there were tears, there were smiles, it was just filled with a lot of love and a lot of joy as residents were able to come and staff were able to come and share in that service in the chapel. And I know that Chaplain Blackwell and others would love to see that happen again. So I think they're working on that. We won't have a date yet, but it was just a beautiful experience.
Well, that sounds like it was very special, and having it perhaps at different times would be very helpful, I would think.
Yes.
Did any of the family members of the residents, were they invited or able to come?
I'm not sure about, I don't think any family members made this one. I know that it was on the heart of Chaplain Blackwell for the past several months. She had wanted to see this happen and had looked at several months in terms of when it could happen. But I'm sure that at one of the future events, they will be able to reach out to and include the families. It was just special. You know, there aren't any words to really describe the day. But we have photos and some things, a lot of photos that circulated, and some things that I'll also be including in the Faith in Focus newsletter that will be coming out next week. So just a very special time.
It sounds that way.
It was. And a few other events that we've had since I was here in September. Or October, what month is this? This is November already.
Yes.
So we had United Nations Day. This year the theme was the need for peace, certainly recognizing everything that's going on in our world. That was a theme for the program, and it was held on Thursday, October 22nd in the chapel. Our guest speaker was Rabbi Bruce Aft, who was just phenomenal. And perhaps one of the most special things that I've heard from feedback from residents and feedback from staff is we went out in front of the chapel and we had what was supposed to have been a 12-dove release. But, and you'll see this also in Faith in Focus, but as we gathered in the front of the chapel in a nice line, and the owner, one of the owners of Cornucopia Farms, who brought the doves for us, was explaining how to handle them. And we had this beautiful line, and when they got to me and put the dove in my hand, it was the first time I'd ever held a dove, and I was holding it, and the dove's little feet were moving around, and I couldn't hold on to it, and off it went. And I kind of looked up, and someone was able to get a shot of me, the expression on my face, and then Mary Alice Dean and Ursel Benz, who were to my left, and the expression on their faces was just priceless. But fortunately, Cornucopia Farms brought extra doves, so I was able to get another one, and I didn't mention that Mary Alice's dove took off right after mine. I think they really wanted to be together, so they went off in flight, and we each got another dove.
I got lucky and held one too.
And so they brought an additional 2, so we got a 16-dove release for the price of 12. So. But it was
a beautiful day too. It was just seeing those white doves fly into the blue sky. Many people wondered, what happens to the doves?
Right. And one of the things that we made sure of, even in thinking about doing this, we wanted to, first of all, it was just a thrill to be able to get them from a farm. And the doves are from a farm, Cornucopia, in Washington, Virginia. The doves, we were assured by the owner
They knew their way home?
that they knew their way home.
Oh, I said that. Maybe they're like homing pigeons.
And they were, and so she said that they would, she was joking, the owner was joking, and she said, they will beat me home because they don't have any traffic lights. And so we followed up with her afterwards just to make sure that all the doves made it home. She said it would take them about 30 minutes, and they all made it back. So
wow,
for anyone who was wondering, all the doves actually made it home.
Oh, that's so good to know.
Yes.
But the service was very, very interesting and well done.
Thank you very much. A lot of hard work, and it's just a thrill to see, the Interfaith Council and so many others who have an interest in peace and those kinds of programs.
And all the faith groups represented, which was special.
Come together for that kind of event. So it was a good event, another good event. And then the very next day, we had in conjunction with the Wellness Committee, Green Spring Wellness Committee, we had a breast cancer prayer walk. There had been 3 breast cancer walks in previous years, but this year I had asked if we could combine a prayer walk with the breast cancer walk, and so that was born, and just a very, very touching day. Michelle Gamache, who is a breast cancer survivor, was our guest speaker just prior to the walk beginning. It was another beautiful day outside. We took the journey from Town Center to Hunter's Crossing to Village Square, back to Town Center. We had lots of little giveaways for that day, and we ended with prayer at the Gazebo. And just prior to that, we had a ribbon where people were actually able to write names of survivors, breast cancer survivors, even other people that they were praying for on those ribbons, and they were stapled to I don't know if you saw the trees that were decorated in pink.
I saw one,
yes, it was for that. And just a beautiful experience, and so many people at the Gazebo were sharing their stories. And so to hear people have that open and honest conversation and be able to express that in that type of a setting is, it was just another beautiful day.
Our time is marching on, so we've
I
got
haven't
to
got
go through your list.
And I think a lot of people know that we celebrated last Friday Reverend Chuck Jacobs, 57 years in ministry. So certainly I was out of town that day, but I've heard such wonderful, wonderful news about that event.
It was very well done.
And certainly knowing that the legacy that he is, a living legacy in this community, and all he has contributed was just special for both he and Ann and everybody who came out to celebrate him. Coming up on Thursday, we have our 2nd annual Day of Caring. Reverend Dr. Lanice P. Bias, who was with us last year, will be coming back on Thursday from 1 to 2:30 in the Akatink room. We'll be looking at the joy and the cost of unconditional caring. So both for people who provide care and for those who are the beneficiaries of care. This session is for them. She'll do a 20-minute or so presentation, and we'll have lots of roundtable discussion. She'll be circulating to those tables to share with the participants, and then she'll do a final wrap-up. So I think that will be a really good event, both for residents and for staff.
And the place and the time again?
Sure. It's in the Akatink room on Thursday. From
this week.
This week, so 2 days from now, Thursday of this week in Akatink from 1 to 2:30, and it's for residents and for staff. Of course, our space is limited in Akatink, so if people are interested in coming, we'd like for them to RSVP to Pastoral Ministries, and they can call 604-4218. Ingrid Calcano, our administrative assistant, will take their information just so we can get an accurate count, as close as we can.
Close.
As close as we can, but I think it'll be a good event for everyone.
I'm sure.
We have another event coming up next week, Spiritual Care and Hospice, bringing families together. We had the first session on September 30th. This next session will be held on Thursday, November the 12th, from 2 o'clock p.m. in the Village Square Theater. So anyone who has any questions about hospice, if you'd like to hear the benefits of hospice care, which also includes both pastoral and spiritual support, we encourage you to come. Invite your families to come. That'll be an event, if it's anything like the first one, in terms of the content, in terms of the caring. You know, there were some tears, there was laughter, but a good event to get information on just the benefits of services that we have on this campus, where you don't have to go outside. We're right here to support.
And hospice is a very, very good program.
It is,
Yes.
and I've, you know, just being able to be at bedside during you know, a resident's death, you know, it's a sacred moment for me, and a holy moment, and to be a part of that and to hold a hand or pray with or lend support and be there for the resident, the spouse, and the family. It's a beautiful,
I'm sure.
beautiful care. We have some other community events that I'd like to mention, just to remind people if they don't already know. Our Veterans Day program will be held on Wednesday, November the 11th at 11 o'clock in the chapel. So November the 11th at 11 in the chapel. We have, sponsored by the Catholic community, a Living Water Advent program that will be held on Sunday, November 22nd at 3 o'clock in the chapel. I am pleased to be able to participate in the next Jewish study hour. That will be held on Tuesday, November 24th. The topic that I'm using is Sharing the Psalms, a Common Bond, at 11 o'clock, Tuesday, November 24th in Town Center Classroom. A couple more. On Friday, November the 20th in the chapel, we're holding one of two sessions on faith, grief, and loss. You know, understanding this season and how it affects so many of us, we want to provide that support for residents, for staff, for whoever feels like they need that. So on Friday, November 20th, in the chapel, we'll hold that session, and it will be at 1 o'clock. At 1 o'clock in the chapel. Again, faith, grief, and loss. And then we'll do a second one in December. So that information will go on all of the community bulletin boards, Channel 6, everywhere we can circulate it. And closing out the month of November, we have the Thanksgiving Eve service that is sponsored and led by Reverend Dr. Lynn Kalkorff. So on Wednesday, November 25th in the chapel at 7 o'clock, for those who would like to come out and be a part of that Thanksgiving Eve service, again sponsored by Reverend Dr. Lynn Kalkorff, we invite you to come. So lots of things going on.
And we made it. We have, I think we've just about used up all of our seconds.
Okay.
But thank you so much, Lois, and all of this good information will also be on the bulletin boards,
Absolutely.
Probably on the scroll.
Everywhere.
And you may get things in your cubby about
Yes.
it, so please pay attention and
Yes.
watch out. And you do such a very wonderful job of making Pastoral Ministries so much a live part of the community.
Oh,
so thank you very much.
We try really hard. Thank you. It's our
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.